All right. So, your full name is?
Robert Eldon Oswald.
All right. What branch of service were you in?
It's in the Army.
What were your dates of service?
December of 65 through October of 67.
Were you drafted or enlisted?
I was drafted.
How old were you when you were drafted?
19.
Do you recall your first days in service?
Yeah, it was basic training and all the stuff that goes on, and they make sure that you know who's boss and that type of thing. So, yeah.
Tell me about your boot camp and training experiences.
They made sure you was in shape, so you did a lot of calisthenics and running and different things like that. And marching was a big thing for them then too, so you just had to march for miles. But it wasn't too bad.
How did you get through it?
I guess as far as the physical thing of it was, I come out of high school and through the summer, and I was in reasonable shape, so it really didn't bother me a whole lot. So I came out okay.
What type of work did you perform while in the service?
I was a cook, went to cook school there at Fort Leonard Wood, and then I stayed as a cook throughout the rest of my tour.
What did they teach you in the service?
Respect for those in authority over you. You definitely had to do that. Some of the stuff that they did as far as having like almost like a class, why they teach you respect for your country, your flag, and that type of thing.
Where did you serve?
Started out basic training in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and then I went to Fort Story, Virginia, and then I joined with the 165th Transportation Company, and we was there till December of 66, and then we went over to Cam Bay in Vietnam in December of 66, and then in March of 67 I went to Thailand to an air base, and our company hauled bombs for the airplanes and stuff, and that's what we did over there till I got out.
Did you serve during a war?
Yeah, Vietnam War is when it was.
Did you see combat?
No, I didn't.
What did you believe at that time was at stake in the war? What did you think you were fighting for?
To keep South Vietnam free of communism, and that's about it. That's what I thought that was going on anyway.
How did you feel about the enemy that you were fighting?
Well, to me, it was one that needed to be taken down because of the way they treated people and stuff. So I thought, if you can win the war, do it.
How do you feel about them now?
After the war, North and South Vietnam joined together. They are one country now. They're still communist, but it isn't quite like when they sent the North Vietnamese down to the South. And our country trades with them, and it's pretty good.
Did you write home often?
Tried to get a letter off every, I don't know, sometimes it was 3 or 4 weeks in between, but yes, that's about as often as I did.
Did you describe what you were actually experiencing in your letters?
Yeah, I wrote what I was doing. Of course, when I was cooking, why it was just getting up early in the morning and cooking breakfast and dinner and supper for the guys. And so it's about all there was to talk about, really.
What reminded you most of home when you were overseas?
I guess the fact that being a cook, I could cook things kind of like my mom did. That's about it there.
What did you look forward to most when you thought about coming home?
Well, going and working on a farm. I always wanted a farm, and that's all I've ever done, really. So I just was hoping someday I would get to farm on my own.
Do you think people today should know about what you went through?
That the experience was a good experience for me unfortunately, I didn't have to go into combat, so that makes it, I don't know exactly how to tell them, but it wasn't bad, really, but knowing that there was a war going on, and that kind of course, concerned me.
What do we need to remember about your war?
If you're going to fight a war, don't hold back. If there's a mission to accomplish, go get it done, and get in and get out.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
Okay, yes. I didn't get to fly over like a lot of guys did. They put us on a troop ship at Oakland Army Terminal, and we went across the Pacific. And that took, I can't remember, it was 14, 15 days. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, that was quite an experience to go across the Pacific and see how smooth the ocean could be, and also seeing how rough it could be. So.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
I got Vietnam campaign. I got a good conduct medal, and the overseas thing for in combat.
How did you get them?
Well, some of them were just kind of if you were in so long, or if you were in certain places, you just kind of automatically got them.
How did you get promoted?
That was another one. I was in so long, I had private first class, and then if you're in so long and you do your job, our mess sergeant just came one day and said, "Here's your specialist fourth class things," and I didn't really have to do anything except keep doing what I was doing. So.
What was the highest rank you achieved?
Specialist fourth class.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
Just by writing letters, and then once when I was over in Thailand, I went up to Bangkok and I got on the phone. It was noon there, but it was midnight here. Got my folks out of bed, but I don't think they minded it too much.
What was the food like?
Oh, it was great. That's because I was the cook.
Yeah.
No. You could take anything in the mess hall and mess it up and it would be bad. But if you took your time and got it cooked right and read the instructions of how to do it, why? I was good with it anyway.
Did you feel pressure or stress?
No, I didn't. Just because I never saw combat. That would have been, I don't know how I would have handled that. But being the cook and in a company doing what we did, why, no, I didn't.
How did people entertain themselves?
A lot of guys sat around when they was off duty, played cards, played some board games. Some of them just read books. Some of them wrote home to the family and stuff.
What did you do when on leave?
My leave consisted of from Friday noon to Monday noon one time. When it was over in Thailand, went up to Bangkok and kind of toured the city and saw all the main religion in that country is Buddhist. And there was unbelievable amount of buildings, pointed statues, and there was a gold Buddha that I don't know what he was worth, but it was an awful lot. So it was interesting to go up there. And you rode on these little boats that weren't very wide, and somebody would paddle the thing for you, and they'd take you around, show you that's the way people bought their groceries. They just went along the next boat, oh, I'll buy that from you. And it was interesting.
Yeah. Did you go anywhere on leave?
Well, just up to Bangkok, which is about 60 some miles north of where our Utapao Air Base was.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
Yeah, when you clean your plates before you go into the mess hall, it's in a can that's got water in it and it's heated. But in order to get it hot, you had to light the fire and let gas drip down. Well, sometimes you turn the gas on a little bit before the guy come to light it, and it would kind of go boom, and kind of sings your eyebrows if it, which wasn't good, but.
Do you have photographs from your time in the service?
A few, yeah.
Who are the people in the photographs?
I found one last night in my stuff of 4 of the cooks that I worked with all the while we was overseas. Got the names on the back, but I'd have absolutely no idea how to get a hold of them.
Did you make any close friendships while in the service?
Only with the other cooks, and I'm not sure I'd call that a close friendship because they were from different parts of the country. I was a farm boy and they were city people, which I'm not holding that against them. That's just the way it was, so no real good friendships at all, but we got along real good.
Yeah. Do you recall the day your service ended?
Mm-hmm. October, I can't remember when I said, 11 of 67. It was kind of nice to fly from Utapao Air Base up to Bangkok on a C-130, and then I got on a big bird and came back home back to the United States.
Where were you that day?
I got out.
Yeah, when it ended.
It was an airfield. When I got back to the States, it was, I can't remember what air base it was. And anyway, then they took and they processed you out. You guys sign all the papers, and you sign papers, and as you're walking out the door, if they had any money that they owed you, they handed it to you in cash. And then I flew home to Kansas City, and then I went to Omaha, and then I took a bus home.
What did you do in the days and weeks afterwards?
I worked on a farm with my dad. They farmed pretty good sized amount of ground and fed cattle, and so I've been doing things like that ever since.
Did you work or go to school?
I worked.
What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
I farmed. For a very short time, I drove a tank wagon and delivered fuel to farmers out on the farm and stuff like that, or fuel to people's furnaces in town. But that only was maybe about 4 or 5 months. But other than that, it was working on the farm.
Is that what you still do today?
Actually, I'm retired, but yeah, I retired from farming, and now my son's taking it over.
Yeah. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Kind of told me that we need a good, strong military to protect our country, because there's all kinds of people that come in and destroy us if they could. But
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
yeah, we was always in a tent. We was never in a, except for basic training, I was in a brick building, but other than that, we always lived in tents.
And your serial number? Or
Well, that was one thing that you had to learn, that before you even got down to the basic training, you better know it when you walked off the bus. It was just one of them deals where the sergeant would come up and, what's your serial number? And if you didn't know, he'd say, give me 10 or 20, whatever he felt
so
like.
you
But
could,
it was interesting.
yeah.